This lesson is going to teach you how to name the compounds and write the formulas for them. It's our naming chapter. However, it's one thing to look at this, but it's another to practice it yourself. So this is a chapter that's going to be really beneficial for you to make sure that you practice naming those compounds in the review packet and also the formulas, and then checking your answers to make sure you're doing it correctly. So for ionic, first of all, you need to know that this is usually a metal to a nonmetal. Not always, you can have two polyatomic ions as well, but most of the time for this class it'll be a metal and a nonmetal. For this one, the second element, you're going to use "-ide". So for example, if it's oxygen, you're going to call it oxide. Chlorine becomes chloride. And then don't forget that you need to use Roman numerals for the charge, and make sure you know that that's what the Roman numeral is saying is the charge. So if you see like iron Roman numeral 2, that Roman numeral 2 is not telling you that you have 2 iron atoms, it's telling you that the charge on that iron, the oxidation number, is a +2. And you're going to do this if it is a transition metal, lead, which is Pb, or tin, which is Sn. So watch out for transition metals, lead and tin, and you need to figure out the Roman numeral for that. If you forgot how to figure out the Roman numeral, what you can do is use this equation where you have blank x plus blank parentheses equals 0. So the charge is going to add up to 0, the net charge. So for example, if we have Fe2O3, these are going to add up to 0. The blanks are the numbers in the formula. So for iron, we have 2 of them because of that 2, and for oxygen, we have 3 because of that 3. And then the parentheses is going to be the oxidation number or the charge on the second element. So you can just use the periodic table to look that up. So for example, oxygen, if you look that up, is going to be -2. And then you just solve for x, and x will be the Roman numeral that you use. All right, our next thing is if we're going to do the formula for this. So for formulas, you are going to cross charges. So what I mean by that is if you have something like aluminum is +3 and oxygen is -2, so that 2 comes down to aluminum, the 3 comes down to oxygen, and you end up with Al2O3. And we do that to make them add up to 0. That's the whole point of it, is to make the net charge 0. There are a few that you need to know. You need to know that zinc is +2 and that silver is +1. And that's pretty much it for ionic. Let's go ahead and do some covalent. For covalent compounds, first of all, this is going to be all nonmetals. You're still going to change the second element to "-ide". And then the difference with this is that you're going to use prefixes to show how many you have. And you do need to know the names of the prefixes for each one. So 1 is mono, 2 is di, 3 is tri, 4 is tetra, 5 is penta, 6 is hexa, 7 is hepta, that's a hard one, 8 is octa, 9 is nona, and 10 is deca. Make sure that you know those prefixes, and whatever the prefix says, you just put that as the number. So if it was trichloride, you would put 3 with the chlorine. There is one exception, and that is you don't use mono for the first element. You don't use mono on the first element. You do use it on the second one. If you only have one of the second element, you would use mono. And you can use all the rest of the prefixes on the first one. You just don't use it on the first element. And the last thing to learn how to name are acids. And we discussed how to name acids, the binary and ternary different ways, but for this class, our state says that you only have to know 4 acids. So these are the only 4 that you'll be tested on for the final exam. So if you want to just make sure you know these 4, these are the only 4 that you might see. You need to know that HCl is hydrochloric acid. HNO3 is called nitric acid. H2SO4 is sulfuric acid. And if you have H and then acetate, so I always remember acetate is CHO232. This is called acetic acid. And those are the only 4 acids that you might see. That is all you need to know about naming, but like I said, make sure you practice this on the review packet.